So there was this guy from Roman North Africa who lived in the late 4th and early 5th centuries AD. Born to a Christian mother and a pagan father, this guy went on to become one of the most influential figures in Christian history. He went by the name of Augustine, or as you might know him, Saint Augustine. Now, this guy wrote a lot of theological books and had a lot to say about God and the Bible. If you know anything about church history and the history of Western philosophy, you know that this guy is kind of a big deal. But that's not what I want to talk about today. Despite knowing about Augustine for years and even having read some of his works before, it wasn't until recently that I learned about the story of his conversion to Christianity. You see, Augustine spent the first part of his life moving from one philosophical tradition to the next. The dude was smart, like way smarter than his peers, and he was never impressed by the sages and wise guys of his days. He studied philosophers like Plato and even joined the ranks of a pseudo-Christian group called the Manichees for a while. Despite all of this, from his youth he felt drawn to the truth of God in Jesus Christ, but felt unable to devote himself. Whether it was because of his feelings of inadequacy compared to the harrowing tales of monks and martyrs of his day, or because of his troubling problem with lust and temptation, he just couldn't find it in himself to be a Christian. He recalled praying in his youth, "Give me chastity and continence, but not yet. For I was afraid that you would answer my prayer at once and cure me too soon of the disease of lust, which I wanted satisfied, not quelled." So one day, while he was hanging out with his bros, he was met by a Christian who spoke with him about Paul's letters and the stories of Christian monks who devoted their lives to serving God. He walked away from this conversation feeling utterly devastated and confused by his own inner turmoil and indecision. He went to sit in a private garden alone, beating his forehead and weeping to God, saying, "How long shall I go on saying tomorrow, tomorrow? Why not now? Why not make an end of my ugly sins at this moment?" As he was praying this, he said that he heard the voice of a child singing in a nearby house. The song, which he couldn't recall being the words of any children's game that he knew, kept repeating the phrase tolle lege, or in English, "take it and read." He got up and went back to where he had left his book that contained the letters of Paul and opened it, with his eyes first landing on the passage from Romans that read, "Let us behave properly as in the day, not in carousing and drunkenness, not in sexual promiscuity and sensuality, not in strife and jealousy, but put on the Lord Jesus Christ, and make no provision for the flesh in regard to its lusts." Immediately, he felt as though God had shown him a sign in this very moment. The strange words of the child's song and the passage that he turned to by chance seemed to unlock the faith to him. It was that day, he records, that he truly became a Christian. Now, a modern person could easily just say this was confirmation bias or some kind of coincidence given meaning by a person already looking for answers. And you know what? Maybe so, but I think Augustine's prayer was answered by God, and the command to take and read the scriptures was at the core of that answer. So whether you're interested in the Bible because you're a Christian, or because you're not but you want to see what it's about, or even if it's for academic purposes much like what I plan to cover on this channel, my advice to you would be that of the child's voice. Take it and read. Thanks for watching.